So we're going to start today with a little bit of a review from yesterday. If I gave you this, U0 equals 55,000. Would you know how to put this into the calculator in sequence mode? U0 equals 55,000, and then I'm just going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to have this grow by 2.5%. So if this is a recursive sequence, the next thing you write is U sub n equals. So if I were you, I'd write it on the iPad first, write the equation you're going to type in, and then I would go to the calculator and type it in. Max, there's very few times I say always, but this part is always the same. Can you tell me what it is? U sub n is? I think you said U sub n minus 1 right there. Yep. And then this part is not always the same, but it usually has a 1 plus. And then what? 0.025. A lot of kids struggle with that. They're like, a lot of kids put 2.5 right here. No, you got to put 0.025. All right. Then, that's the kind from yesterday, except it's missing something. A lot of people didn't have the domain. So, Josh, do you remember the domain? Starts with N.
N is greater than or equal to 0.
Oh, so close. You always go one bigger than what we started with, so therefore 1. You were so close. All right, so there's the domain. Why do you have to have that? Well, you don't if you're going to put it in the calculator, but you do if you have it in written form. Okay, that domain became a big deal, and we all talked about it as math teachers. We were like, we know where they're going to forget the domain. Do we mark them for it? And we decided, yeah, it's important enough, and you see domains in pre-calc, so probably should remind you that domains are important. Okay, so then can you put this in the calculator? That becomes the next question. And if you want to tell if you did it right, once you're done typing in the calculator, go to U sub 1, and hopefully it's just a little bigger than 55,000. So type it in the calc, then do U sub 1, try the thing I just said, which is U sub 1. I know it's on the table, but instead of using the table, don't use the table, everybody. Just type U sub 1 out on the main screen. I don't want you to always rely on the table, because there's times when the table is really problematic. Because, like, for instance, if you start with the year 2026, then the table kind of sucks, because you got to change the table set, doesn't it? All right, so show me your U sub 1. I see yours. You're good. You're getting close. Yours is way different than the last kid. Both of you are the same, so that's good. Something's wrong with your equation.
So let's figure out what it is.
All right, there you go. Hit the Y equals button. Oh, I know. Go back out to the main screen. So say, type U parentheses 1. That's still not right. Something's wrong. Okay. You only have 5,500, 55,000. You forgot a 0. There you go. Excellent. Thank you. You got it. 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 You. Yep. Yep. All right. You might say something right, but I can't tell you. It's your grade. So, parentheses. That's it. I know you typed it in. Yes. I'm getting close. Always a few people that get a little stumped in here. Excellent, Excellent, excellent. Do we need the parentheses? Okay, actually, it didn't work. Try U parentheses. And we'll see if it actually works. Okay, yes, 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 yes. Okay, good. We got it all fixed. A couple of you fixed little issues you were having. Yay. All right, so, can you tell me, what was the final answer for you one?
56,375.
All right, cool. So if that was money, that was 1 year of interest. Did we need to say divided by 1? Of course not. Divide by 1 doesn't even do anything. But if I had wanted, the new stuff for today is going to be monthly. So this, I want you to go into your calculator and change this to 0.025/12. That changes it to monthly. Now, the other thing is you can make payments on a loan or you can have an investment. I'm going to say that what we are doing right now is investing this $55,000. I want to make this more real world. That's actually very close to the amount that a grandparent can, if they want to, put into an account for you in something called a 529 account for college. So the point is, let's say grandma and grandpa sell their business and all of a sudden they've got some extra money and they were like, I want to help my grandkids out for college. They can take that money, stick it into a account called a 529 account. And it might be like 59,000 or something like that, but it's pretty close to that. Then the money in there can grow tax-free until you want to take it out for college. So let's say it grows to 100,000 by the time you're old enough to need it, then there's no taxes on that and you get more money for college. All right. So I want to make a scenario just like that, except we're going to have it be a little less, but for a lot of years. So grandparents can't afford to put away $55,000 for you, but I'm going to change this to they do decide we can afford to put $20,000 into an account for you, but when you were born. So grandparents put that money into an account for you when you're born, and you get monthly. But this 2.5%, because you're so far away from college, they can invest it in something much more aggressive. And so we're going to say 0.09. We're going to get 9% growth. We're going to do it monthly. And the grandparents also say, hey, we can afford to add an extra $100 a month to help you out to save for college. Do you see the setup there? Now, here's the challenge. If I say, I want to know what U sub 1 is, that's only 1 month. It's not even 1 year. Because as soon as you change this to divide by 12, then U sub 1 means after 1 month. So if I say, you're not going to need this until you're 18, because about age 18 is when you go off to college, then putting U parenthesis 18 would be totally wrong. That would be 18 months. See what I'm saying? So I'd like you to figure out if it is 18 years, what do you put here? And then figure out the amount. So after you've typed this in your calculator, and you put in the right thing right there, which is not 18, because that'd be 18 months, then I want to see how much money you got saved for college. I'm going to pause while I walk around and see what you got. So we tried that, and I noticed that I wasn't sure what this number was, because I didn't multiply it in my head yet. So I just checked to see if this would work, and it does. You can say 18, but that'd be 18 months, times 12 in there, and the calculator will do the math for you in the middle of the problem. You know what I mean? Okay, so then it comes out to 154,000 and something, and I'm gonna round it here, because I just want to talk about, is that enough for college? It kind of depends. It's way better than having nothing saved for college, but it depends on where you want to go. See, if you decide to go to a relatively cheap college, I can tell you for around $10,000 a year, you can go to a community college. And I know for many of you that's not the dream, but if you want the cheapest way to kind of do it without going into the Army and getting them to pay for it or something like that, the cheapest way to do it is probably community college for 2 years. Then the next 2 years you go to like the U of M. And then when anybody asks you where you went to college, you'll probably just say, I graduated from the U. You know what I mean? That way, your first 2 years are really cheap, like $9,000 or $10,000 a year to go to a community college to get your 2-year degree. Make sure you get really good grades so that then I'll transfer to like the U of M. I think the U of M specifically has a plan where if you keep a certain GPA going, you have guaranteed admittance to the U, which is really nice. So you got into the community college, that'll be easy. Keep good grades up for 2 years, then you have guaranteed admittance. Then you go to the U of M, you graduate, you tell everybody, I went to the U. If you don't, want to share the community college part. Yes?
My brother did PSEO, like full time.
So hardcore PSEO can get you like the first year, maybe?
He's gonna enter college in about halfway through his.
So maybe 2
sophomore
years
year.
in? Awesome.
So about one.
Yeah, PSEO is another option for that. A lot of you guys are taking AP classes, and a lot of times you can use your AP credits to test out of a whole bunch of stuff. So that might get you done in 3.5 years of college instead of 4, maybe even 3 years instead of 4. So this $154,000 is not even close to enough if you just have to pay full price and go to a place like St. Olaf. I went to St. Olaf, I loved it, but it's like $70,000 a year. And if you're paying full price because your family, doesn't get any breaks on the income thing, then that's not nearly enough. You're going to come out of there still owing tons of money, even though grandma and grandpa saved a ton for you. And I know for some of you are like, grandma and grandpa's not giving me anything, so I need to do this all on my own. Then one option to really consider, my kids went the military route. They got amazing experiences in the military, like really cool kind of adventure-y stuff, and the military paid for their college. And so they came out 4 years later, they had a guaranteed job in the military, and now they're done with that. They're done with their commitment. I think you have to do 4 years of, 4 years in the military gets you 4 years of college, and then you're done, and you've had a job the whole time. A lot of people graduate from college and they're like a barista, until they find the dream job. Well, if you go to the military route, you're out and you have a real job, sometimes doing really, really cool things with technology. And then maybe you're really well set up to get the next job when you come out. So anyway, there are options to go to college and not spend a dime. All right. So what if it's a loan? I want to tell you a personal story about I put in a bathroom in my house, and I happened to have saved up $7,000 by then so I could pay for it in cash. And it costs that's really cheap for a bathroom, actually. Bathrooms are one of the most expensive rooms in your house to renovate. And I wanted to add a bathroom, so I took this basement, little tiny room, and made it into a bathroom. It's been really nice because we raised 3 kids, and you can imagine if 3 kids plus 2 parents, all of a sudden you got 5 people sharing one bathroom. That's a nightmare. So I put in the second bathroom, and it cost $7,000. So I want you to make U0 $7,000. But let's say I took a loan for this. Do you know how to write that same equation we just did, except make it a loan? And I'm going to make $100 a month payments. And I'm going to show you how to calculate how much total my bathroom cost, because it didn't only cost $7,000. In my case, I did not take a loan for it. But if you take a loan, it's going to cost you interest also. We're going to use 8% interest. A lot of times you can get what's called a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, or you can get a home equity loan, which is just a simple loan like you took when you bought your house in the first place. All right, so do you remember how to type that in? Alex, I'm going to put you on the spot. It starts with U sub n equals U sub n minus 1, and then do you know what to write? All right, I will help you. You put a parenthesis like this, you put a 1 plus, and the 8% is 0.08, and then I bet you can remember this part. If it's monthly, divide by 12. And then if I'm making payments of 100 a month, do you remember what to do? It is. You want the balance to go down 100 every month. There you go. There's your loan setup. The only difference between a loan and investment is right there. If that's a plus, then it's going to grow every month, and that's what investments do. If it's a minus, it's going to shrink every month, and that's what loans are supposed to do. You're paying them off, right? So my question is, do you know how to go out to the table then and tell me when this thing will be paid off? You're paying $100 a month for this bathroom, and it's going to be a long time. So everybody, if you had trouble getting it to work, please raise your hand. I will walk over and tell you. A lot of times it's something little like you used a negative sign instead of a minus sign, or if it's not working, tell me. One of my students figured out it was in the 95th month. I would go to table settings, which is right above the window key, and I would have my table start at 94 maybe, so that I can see it, kind of grow to 95. So if you start at table start 94, or you just hit down arrow literally 94 times, then you see at 94, that's the 94th month, you still owed $60.20. But at 95, it shows a negative 39.4. Do you remember that that's the deal where now all of a sudden the bank owes you money back because you paid too much? And that's true in the real world. If you pay extra, the bank can't just say, we're keeping it. They have to pay it back to you. In an insurance world, which I know pretty well, if you pay the insurance company too much, they have to, by law, turn around and mail it back to you. You can't just be like, ooh, we're going to hope they forget about that. The insurance company has to say, oh, you overpaid us, here's your money back. So they mailed you $39.40 back. Now here's the final question. Imagine it's the final. You typed all this in right. You got this. Then they ask, how much total did you pay for the bathroom? I'll give you a hint. You made 95 payments. Take a second. Figure out the grand total. You made 95 payments of how much? Well, you might just say, well, it's 95 payments times 100 is 9,500, Mr. Server. The problem is, that's not the right answer. So talk to the kid next to you. What's the final answer? Show it to him on the calculator, maybe. All right. It is the 9,500, but then I heard a bunch of you say it. You're right. You have to subtract off the 39.4. Your grand total comes up to $9,460.60. Okay. Now, that's what the bathroom would have cost with interest. Okay. So the bathroom, instead of costing you $7,000, costs you $9,500. So it costs you more because of interest. Now that's generally annoying also, that for 95 months you have to have something drawn out of your bank account. Literally, even if you're not writing the check, if you're just looking at your checking account, you're going to have 95 entries of minus 100, minus 100. It's just like annoying. So it'd be nice to not have to do the loan. All right. But what if they said, how much interest is that? How much interest was it? It's not a super complicated thing. The thing was supposed to cost you $7,000. So you just subtract the $7,000 and you get $2,460.60, $2,460 of interest. So do you get that it cost you more because of interest? So you just subtract off how much it should cost. Does that make sense? All right. Then the last melon is this. I want you to figure out one last equation, and that's for that same bathroom. I had a choice when I had that $7,000 in my hand. I could either make that bathroom in the basement or just kind of live with it, have to share the bathroom, make some rules about how long you can be in there for my family, and I could have done that. And that $7,000 would be your U sub 0. Put that into your calculator. That's two parts of the thing you put in the calculator, right? And then I'll tell you the rest. UN equals UN minus 1. That's what you always put, right? 1 plus, I, way back then even, was really into Apple, owned a bunch of Apple stock, okay? And what if instead of making the bathroom, what if I just put that money into Apple stock back then? Well, it's grown at about 15%, 0.15. And we're not going to do this monthly. We're just going to keep it simple because we just going to do it once. We're not going to do any payments or anything. I'm not going to add anything to it. But I'm going to say it grew at 15%. But here's the crazy part. It was 20, let me make sure here. It was about 28 years ago that I put in that bathroom. So it's been a long time. Apple stock's been growing at like 15% for those 28 years. So this $7,000 would be worth a lot right now if I had just left it in Apple stock. Let's see how much. Go out and figure out what U sub, and I don't even know what this number is, but I know it's 28 years times 12 months. Oh, wait, that would be monthly. Sorry, it's just 28. It's just 28. I'm curious, how much did the bathroom really cost me? Because, see, I could have left it in the Apple stock or just bought more Apple stock. Mr. Breen, what did you get?
50,459.
How much?
350,459.
Can anybody verify that number? A lot of nods. So I have a $350,000 bathroom. This is real. I did that. I could have done that. If you want to make it even more ridiculous, Bitcoins back then, about 25 cents each. Now, $100,000. Multi-million-dollar bathroom. Because if I'd have just put the 7,000 in Bitcoins, seriously, it might be $1 billion. I'm gonna actually figure this out. If I had 7,000, I'm gonna go 7,000 divided by 25 cents. I could have bought 28,000 Bitcoins, which are now worth $100,000. This is gonna be hard to. Okay, this is how much. If I had bought Bitcoin instead of putting in a bathroom, 280. With 7 more zeros. Boop. It's the $2 billion bathroom. Not kidding. That could have happened. Except one little flaw in the ointment here is I would have had to keep it in Apple stock for a while, and then Bitcoin didn't come out 28 years ago. Bitcoin was more recent than that. But they were seriously selling. They were selling for cheaper than a quarter. I'm making it because I actually saw this advertisement for a StarCraft tournament where the like loser prize was if you didn't do well in the tournament, at least they gave you 25 Bitcoins. Seriously, that's what that was, a video game tournament, and if you lost, you got 25 Bitcoins. So back then they were just trying to advertise Bitcoin and be like, hey, let's hope this catches on. Okay, anyway, so I have a $2.8 billion bathroom, and it wouldn't have even taken 28 years because it hasn't been around for 28 years. All right, you have a assignment. It is a Schoology quiz. Let's do the first problem together. Find it. It's called FR, so FR is gonna stand for final review. For all of our next few assignments, they're gonna call it FR at the beginning. FR, loans and investments, assigned May 28. The very first question is a super simple one. It gives you this equation, U0 equals 500. Victoria, could you read me the rest of it?
And UN equals 1 plus 0.04 divided by 4.
Okay, isn't it U sub n equals U sub n minus 1? Does it have that? Right after U0 equals 500, what does it say? Exactly, what does it say?
And U sub n equals 1 plus 0.04 divided by 4.
Plus, you were too fast. UN equals 1 plus
0.04 divided by 4.
divided by 4. Oh, okay, keep going.
UN minus 1
Oh, it put the UN minus 1 after it. I get it, okay.
minus 25,
Minus 25, there it finally is. And then they want to know what?
where n is greater than or equal to 1.
Oh, this is the domain.
And then it's asking for the payment slash deposit amount.
Ah, there it is, except, be careful, it's not negative. The payment is 25. The negative only tells you is it a loan or an investment. So just put 25. Okay? All right, there's number 1. Go from there. I think you're going to find that this will easily finish up in class, but there'll be a few that are going to be challenging for you. Like, you know, the kind, how much did you pay for the bathroom kind of thing. Those might be kind of hard. Feel free to ask the kid next to you or walk up and ask me for help. And that's all I got for you for today.